Hi, everybody. Welcome to Capital to the Coast BNI. My name is Mike Manning. Each week, we bring you a local small business success story anywhere from the Triangle here in North Carolina all the way to the Wilmington coast and all points in between. If you are not familiar with BNI, it is Business Networking International, the world's largest networking organization. And there are 41 chapters between the Triangle and the Coast that meet each week, and our goal is to bring each other new business and help each other grow our business. Our local small business success story this week is a friend of the show, Patrick Griffin, 1-800 Water Damage. He is the business development person there. Patrick is part of the Cary Core Professionals core group. They are trying to become a chapter. They have 10 members right now. They meet Thursday mornings at 9 a.m. on Zoom right now. So if you're in the Cary area, want to meet some folks, this is a group to get connected with pretty quick. They are on a upswing right now. They probably should be launching here in a few more weeks. Patrick, how are you today?
Doing well. Hope you are there, Mike.
I am, man. Always good to have you on the show. So, folks, what we're going to learn today is how you work hard to get what you want by knocking on doors, visiting people, building relationships, and just building one person at a time to grow your network. So, Patrick's been with 1-800 Water Damage for a while. He's a BNI veteran, also a consulting director. But you're going to learn a lot from him on just kind of the mindset. And the one phrase you'll hear a lot in this show is the hunter's mentality, which is what Patrick has. So, Patrick is business development person for 1-800 Water Damage, and we're going to talk about your time at Mobile Mini, where you were an account rep. But a lot of times I find that some business trait came from another family member. So where and how did you learn? Where'd you get it, and how'd you learn the hunter's mentality?
Probably thousands of years through the Griffin family genes. No, I mean, my dad, he's avid basketball fan. Played basketball up until probably late 40s, early 50s. Everything I learned from him, and just he was the kind of dad that never took it easy on you, never let you win. Um, Many one-on-one basketball games in the driveway there where it was coming down to the wire, but uh, that kind of upbringing, along with being the youngest of three, and my siblings did not take it easy on me at all. So uh, it's between that and I don't know. It's just coming from, I would say, quote unquote humble beginnings. I mean, definitely could be worse. That could be better. But always asking, can we have this? And we didn't get everything we wanted, and that was okay. We lived a happy life, and wouldn't change it one iota. But whenever you get in a position where the harder you work, the sky's the limit, and sales is it. But you can't get what you want without helping people. So you got to have that balance of you know hard work, but also doing things the right way. So
Yep.
I think
We
that's
Yep. Yep. I know what
yeah,
you're talking
that's
about.
the basic ingredient.
Yeah, we moved to Raleigh in 1974, and we lived in a neighborhood off Falls of News. And I had a bike, a tennis racket, and a swimming pool, a neighborhood swimming pool where there was 70 kids. So you always had something to do with somebody. And I thought, man, life doesn't get any better than this. And like most people, when you want some money, your dad or your mom will tell you, okay, how you going to earn it? And I would walk up and down the street pulling our lawnmower and just knocking on doors. Hey, to need your yard cut. So what was your first business as a child or a teenager in your neighborhood? Did you?
Yeah, we and you're going to be like, what are you talking about? Humble beginnings. When I start the story that when I was about 8 to 10 years old, or that time frame, lived on a golf course, and the golf course, it wasn't private at that point. We were members of it, and then they decided to go private. But living on the golf course, we were adjacent to a par four, and we would just set up a little stand and sell golf balls.
Nice.
So the folks that hit it into the briar patch or whatever, and they didn't want to get in there,
Mm.
we would get in there, retrieve it, and just walk around the golf course, off the cart path, and go to the woods and find golf balls, and then turn around and sell them for 25, 50 cents, that kind of thing. So yeah.
Nice. Did you have a lot of takers?
Oh yeah.
Good.
Yeah,
At,
absolutely.
at 25 or 50 cents a golf ball, you cleaned it up. It's probably still in decent shape, right?
That we did.
Because you found
Full service.
you found some really nice golf balls in the briar, didn't you?
Oh yeah. Well, you play good golf courses.
Yeah.
That's also an ancillary benefit if you're out there playing. You're gonna find Pro V1. You're not gonna find
Oh yeah.
uh, top flights.
Yeah, you learn a lot for golf. If you're not a golfer, you learn a lot about who's playing your golf course based on the types of balls you find. And Pro V1 is top of the line. And you see if you see somebody playing golf ball with their ball playing golf and their ball has a red stripe painted around it, yeah, that's you don't want to. Yeah, nobody's buying that
Says
from you.
range on it.
Yeah. So, so who all did that? You and your siblings?
Combination of them, my brother, my sister, other folks in the other kids in the neighborhood. We didn't live in a neighborhood like you did, where there's 70 kids. I mean, it was you know I'm from Hickory,
Mm,
western part of the state, hence the 828 number you'll see on the screen. But things were a little bit spread out that way. It was in a neighborhood that was kind of annexed by the city of Hickory. So it wasn't country, it wasn't rural, but it
mm,
also at the same time wasn't like urban.
yeah.
So we had walk about a half a mile to a mile to get to the next kid's house, that kind of thing.
Wow.
So a lot of one-on-one baseball with an
Mm,
all-time pitcher, a lot of
yep.
one-on-one football with a all-time quarterback, that kind of thing.
Yep.
Ghost runners, used our imagination, that kind of thing. But yeah, unfortunately, there weren't a lot of kids in the neighborhood that I partnered up, which meant more profit for this guy, right?
Yeah, there were when we lived in Richmond, Virginia, 5th and 6th grade, there were 6 of us. We love baseball, so, we are what, 12 or 13 years old, whatever it was. We just loved baseball, and there was a
Yeah.
field behind one of the guys' house. They eventually were building a house there, but till they started doing that, we had room to play. And
Right.
so if you hit it into the woods, it was automatic home run, and the pitcher's glove was out. So you lay it on the mound, and if the
Okay.
defense can throw it and hit the glove, runners, they're out whatever base they're going to. So, yeah. So, again, but like you said, you had to get creative.
I
Yeah.
like that rule.
Yeah.
We can go back in time.
Oh, man. Yeah. We played wiffle ball. We'd have a ball, a bat, and a roll of masking tape. And when the ball would split, we'd just tape it up again. And next pitch, please. So,
There you go.
all right. So you went to UNC Greensboro, um, majored in political science. What was the goal there with that major at the time?
I think probably just get a degree, get out. I mean, I started out, undecided, and then I, was thinking pre-law. But the fraternity, kind of, you know, my first semester of grades were really good, but after that, so I think just and taking the LSAT, it
Man.
just wasn't in the cards, sir, at that point. Um, yeah. So, but one of my first semesters, I took a political science class, and I loved it. I really enjoyed it,
Mm,
and that's really what kind of made me go that direction. But believe it or not, before going to college, and before you meet me here in the BNI world and all that, I was a bit of an introvert. We all stuck together. Our group of friends, everybody, pretty much went to App State, because that's like 35 miles away from Hickory, and I was one of the few to go to UNC Greensboro. So
mm,
really had to kind of come out of my shell, come out of my comfort zone, and the political science is wasn't necessarily a communications degree,
mm,
but it definitely helped you in the avenue of
yep,
forming arguments, forming logical thought arguments, debates, that kind of thing. Like one of those degrees where you've got multiple answers. It's just tell me why,
yeah,
that kind of thing.
yep.
Yeah,
Uh, s
but yeah,
so then
great times.
what got you to Mobile Mini as an account rep?
Let's see here. Well, the 20s. First job out of college was selling insurance door to door. And really going that route because every company that you want to work for, it's you got to have 6 months of experience.
Yeah.
Well, I found that it was called a company called Combined Insurance, and did that for about 6 months. But they basically took me with open arms,
Mm.
and they took me on a ride along. And the sales manager, he, I think, pretty much had a slam dunk lined up. And we went in there, and we come out, and he's hooting and hollering that he just made X amount of dollars on commission, and I'm like, whoa, you just went into this one stop and just made that amount of money. And he was like, I'm done. I'm going back home. Which is not what a good dedicated sales rep should do. The best time to make a sale is after you make a sale.
Mm.
But I think he was just illustrating, hey, you know, this is how easy it can be. Well, they baited me, and I took it, and I was like, where do I sign? When can I start? Get in there, and it couldn't have been any further from the truth.
Mm.
First day on the job, getting dropped off of downtown Reedsville, knocking on doors, going door to door, business to business, and hearing no about
Mm.
50 to 60 times that day. And it's like, where the slam dunks? Like,
Mm.
I don't know if you've seen the movie The Program, where they recruit the running back, and then he comes in first day of school. Like, where are all the cheerleaders and the fans and all that? And he's like, yeah, you're a freshman. It's we got you here. That's so the pomp and circumstance, that kind of thing. But anyway, I did that for 6 months, and I really learned a lot about sales. I mean, persistence, consistency, being consistent, grit, grinding it out. I mean, working 14, 16 hours a day, hearing no 99% of the day. And I remember one night we were on our way back home, and the sales manager that I was working for, guy was training me. He said, "Let's hit up this tattoo parlor over here." And I said, "Come on, man, they're not going to buy any." It was a supplemental insurance. They're basically kind of like the one you see on TV that's with the duck. We'll just leave it at that. And that's the equivalent, the name recommend it, or recognition there. And but we were just not as well known. But I was like, look, do you think these folks are really going to buy this insurance? And that's really when I learned, don't ever say no for the customer.
Yep.
He said, come on, man, we're here, let's just try it. They're open. You never know how many people are going to be in there. So we go in there, and we end up writing pretty much the whole place.
Wow.
And it was just like, don't ever give up, don't ever write anybody off. I mean, also in your times where been like North Wilkesboro, and it was in a single wide trailer, and I was like, there for renewal. It wasn't anything to write home about. I think maybe making like $2 in commission or something like
Yeah.
that for like a basic policy renewal for 6 months. And ask the imperative question, who else do you know that could go for this? And he steered me in, in the direction of
Yep.
this guy who had gotten into a bad car accident. Let's see here.
Yep.
Anyway,
Uh,
having a little technical difficulty.
that's okay. Yeah, it's interesting that a lot of times I guess we're saving ourselves from what we think will be a no when we spend other people's time or money and saying, yeah, I mean, you can call Patrick, but I don't, he's doing real well. He doesn't need this. He doesn't need that. And it's something, and like you found out, sometimes it's 180 degrees there. You still with us?
Exactly. I
Okay.
am. I am. Let me see here. Sorry, my
Just that's
stand
okay.
did a little malfunction there.
Yep.
It's
No
kind of
worries.
rigging something up.
No worries.
But anyway, it led to a great referral that led to me being the top producer that week. So you never know who you're going to run into. You never know who's going to get you connected. Just the same premise of BNI there. So I did that first job out of college, and then got into mortgages for about a year. Um, I worked for one of these companies that was one of the big problem children of the subprime housing collapse, and probably got out at the right time. Um, but basically, I mean, they were doing stated income loans, 228s, automatic value measurements. Basically, I would get a loan on a Saturday morning at 10 a.m. and be closed by lunchtime. And I was telling my dad, who he's an accountant, and basically said, "Hey, that doesn't sound right. That doesn't sound like it's on the up and up." So I was one of the few to actually leave that company because every month they actually fired the bottom 33%. So after a while, I kind of saw the writing on the wall and put in for put my notice in. Went over to a brokerage, did that for 6 months, and then after that, got into food sales, doing marketing for like MDI, Merchant Distributors Incorporated, going around a lot of mom and pop grocery stores where you go in, you'd set the shelves, that kind of thing. Like the
Yeah.
big bags of dog food would be on the very bottom, and then you work your all the way up to. So I did that for a couple of years, living out of a hotel, living on the road. Got tired of it, and started working for a authorized dealer for DirecTV. I did that for like 6 months, and again, the 20s when you're
Yeah.
just trying to figure things out, bouncing all over the place. But it was a great job because I got to talk about football all day long. Love sports,
Yeah.
and we sold the Sunday ticket while DirecTV still had the Sunday ticket, and it was the easiest conversation. And it's the importance of asking those
Yeah.
questions of you know um, just getting people talking, and we would have folks that a lot what we would get our leads from some marketing service that would find out that somebody was moving across the country, and so if somebody's moving from Green Bay to Denver, it's like, hey, are you a Packers fan? Which it's about a 90-95% chance, if
Yeah.
not higher, it's going to be a yes. So it's like, well, how are you planning on watching your Packers games in Denver? Well, probably go to the bar or the restaurant. I'm like, that's going to add up. Where you get the Sunday ticket for free if you
Mhm.
sign up with DirecTV. Easiest conversation, easiest sell. Loved it. Did that, like I said, for about 6 months, and then from that point, an opportunity. My actually good friend that I know got me connected with Mobile Mini. Got me the opportunity, and then from that point, and that's really where I found out that I had that hunter mentality. I took a predicative index, and the results came in, and they were like, "Yeah, this is the highest hunter PI result we've ever gotten. Um, we would like you to start right
Mhm.
now."
Yeah.
Because I
Good.
mean that's high transaction environment, 2 hours of call talk time, multiple calls, and a lot of calls on a daily basis, that kind of thing. So you're just a high sales volume environment. That's really what you need a strong hunter mentality background for.
Yeah, and then it's interesting. So, what 800 water damage is water restoration, mold. I mean, water. All they come in and clean up your house, fire,
Mhm.
water, mold, all that good stuff. Okay, and it's interesting. And you and I have had this conversation before, and I'm amazed at the folks in your field that we can't really plan for you. We don't need you until all hell broke loose.
Right.
But what I like what you do is you stay top of mind with the the insurance people and all those folks. So a lot of it, are you just outworking other people by just they see you more than they see your competitors?
It's a big part of this industry is that you have to be constantly. It's like a shark. Sharks don't sleep. You have to constantly be going, dropping by, staying top of mind. We have different programs and different things that help us stay engaged with insurance agents and also different trade associations. I mean, going to like BNI core groups or new startups, I always loved how Steve Hand would give the analogy of, this is one aspect of your marketing, but you want to be like the military where you have the Air Force, the Navy, the Army, the Marines, Coast Guard, etc. There's different avenues of defense in that analogy. So with us, it's just the exact same thing. Is that BNI is a big part of our strategy, and then from that point, different ways to stay top of mind with those folks. But it's I mean, I can give analogies until the cows come home. You go to a grocery store. You got Coke and Pep reps there all the time because what they want to do is they're fighting for facing, they're fighting for
Mm.
real estate, and the Coke guy will see, hey, the Pepsi guys in their territory, and they have to push them out, and vice versa. So if you ever are in a grocery store and you see there's for the Frito Lay guys, they're bringing everything up, they're putting it on the front of the shelving. It's so that it's top of mind. It's because if it's way back there, as you're going through the aisles, you may miss it. So it's all about that visibility.
Yeah, and like I said, they've got the insurance people have folks knocking on the doors all day long, so, trying to get them to, buy or be part of whatever. Um, the insurance people are your natural, I believe, natural referral partners are the first ones to call you. So, who did you find out that the next group of people that would be a good referral partner for you?
Plumbers, property managers,
How often are you able to find like the plumbers? I mean, they're out in the field a lot. How often are you able to find them?
as much as possible. It could be something as at a Sheets getting gas, and there's a plumber that pulls up right beside me while I'm filling up. I go over there, hand them a card, kind of give them a quick rundown, that kind of thing. Or if they're at a job site, a lot of times, if you're on a job site, with the work order, you're there for a reason, and they're there for a reason as well. You have more credibility, you have more clout. And what I'll do is just say, hey, I understand you probably can't refer us out on these property management situations because the property manager controls the situation. They control, who's, 'cause they're there on behalf of the owner. But on these situations where you're working with a direct pay, direct homeowner, keep us in mind, you know, and give them, just our value proposition, our sales pitch, our selling point on why we're going to be the best fit for everybody involved.
What's a reaction to the guy at the gas pump when you walk over to him?
Very, standoffish at first, like, what's about to happen? Who is this guy? Why is he coming over here? But I come in very, like, announcing myself.
Yeah.
I usually give a big wave, big smile. Hey, how you doing? I'm Patrick with 1-800 Water Damage. That way, they kind of, all right, this guy's probably wanting to talk, a little shop, a little
Mhm.
business, that kind of thing. Um, Versus just like, hey man, you got $30 I can borrow,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. So, and they recognize that, restoration and plumbing, they go hand in hand, and that there's an opportunity.
Where else have you stopped? Have you pulled up to a job site that you weren't part of and talked to somebody?
In my early days, in my early days, I would see a plumber, and if they took a ride into like a neighborhood,
Mm,
I'd pull up right alongside, wait for them to get out, and be like, "Hey,
yeah.
you guys here for a water damage call?" And then like, "No, we're actually putting in a tankless water heater." Like, okay, well, here's my card if
Yeah.
you ever that kind of thing. And it doesn't look good. It's not really authentic, that kind of thing. I mean, they're there for a reason, and it's the homeowners like, what's going on out here, that kind
Yeah.
of thing. So like I said, my early days, whenever but pre-networking days, the networking has erased the need for all that.
And your boss, Red Howard, is also in BNI. What
Mhm.
got you guys who got in first, you or him?
Yeah, so Red, and we are good friends, go all the way back to fourth grade. We've known each other our whole lives. Been to each other's weddings. Our kids when they were born were at the hospital next day, that kind of thing. So he started the franchise. I think it was 13 years this July, and he um he got everything rocking and rolling. So he started the franchise, and he got into BNI before I did. In fact, if it weren't for him, I would have no idea what BNI is. I mean, I probably would have, but the thing is, what I've learned about it, 8 9 years ago, that's really helped me make the
Mm.
connections that I made. Because it's all about getting the process started.
And how did your presentations change from day one to today in BNI or even like a chamber, any other leads groups, things like that?
It's just dramatic. I mean, like my public speaking ability is just like PhD level now, compared to back in the day. I mean, I was at a women in networking event. They opened the doors to visitors, men included, and I was at one of these large networking events where they pass the mic around. You got about 20 seconds,
Mm.
and so I had to like condense my 45 second in half. But I got up there and I nailed it. And Anthony Torres, who he does tons of networking, he was there and his wife was there, and she apparently said something to him like, "Who was that guy?" Because he just nailed it. And and he just kind of nodded his head and was like, "Yep, that's Patrick."
And Anthony
So
Torres, the photographer, has been on the show. So, yep, we like Anthony.
yeah. So whenever he told me that, I was like, yeah, that's I didn't think anything. I didn't think twice about it. But it's reading the room. It's like football. It's the RPO. Are you going to run it? You're going to pass it? That kind of thing. You're going to is the quarterback going to keep the ball? So I love it whenever I'll go to a meeting, and I visit tons of other chapters. That and if I see, hey, there's one property manager in there or a plumber or multiple insurance agents, whenever they're announcing who's going to be there or who are the visitors, that's a golden opportunity
Mm.
for folks to gather and process that information. And that's the beauty and the importance of practicing your 45-second, having 45-second commercials ready to go. Because if you're thinking about your 45-second while everybody's doing their commercial,
Yeah.
then you're going to miss a golden opportunity. So having 3 to 5 different presentations ready to go is huge, because then what happens is that after the meeting they're coming to me, excuse me, versus me running them down, because they're like, I like what you said.
Yeah, when I do training with folks, especially in BNI, um, one it's the example I use. It's like a financial advisor or an insurance agent you're meeting with has no interest in what you want to do. They just say, Patrick, here are the 4 products I sell. Which one do you think would be best for you? And we see this in BNI all the time. So, folks, here's one of the first nuggets you're going to get is, like Patrick said, know the room. Make sure your ask can land with potential clients. Otherwise, like a comedian, they know the room. For the most part, the good ones know the room and who's in there. So, okay, let's talk about this. And Patrick, I know you've been through more B&I meetings than I've been to, I know that, and I know you've seen some force-fed elevator pitches where did not land at all.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, the other day I was at one and the mortgage lender was getting ready to give their commercial, and I'm like, here comes anybody and everybody. And I'm like, what if you said, hey, I want to work with somebody that you work with that failed the credit check. You know, if you work with somebody who um, they they tried to get financing through your whatever it is you have to offer, and they failed the credit check, send them my way. I'd love to have a conversation with them. That way, maybe we can look at what's going on, be a consultant, that kind of thing. Versus the anybody and everybody.
Yeah,
So send me somebody with a 480 credit score, 450 credit score. That's a specific ask.
yep. Yeah, and odds are somebody in that room is gonna know that person, and folks, if you've not been to B&I meeting before, each week as a member, you get 30, 45, or 60 seconds, depending on how big the group is, and it's your chance to most people think it's their chance to tell people what they do, but Patrick and I know the smart ones take that time to ask for something. So Patrick could go, "Hey, I need to meet. I love working with anybody that's had water issues in their house." That's not going to land, folks, because nobody's going to think about anything, But Patrick, one of the things I know he asked for is, "Hey, your next door neighbors." Would love for them to would love I'd love to be in their Rolodex should they have an issue at their house. Or if somebody one of your clients is an insurance agent, things like that. And Patrick's so good at I know a couple weeks ago, Patrick, I forget the names of the company, but at the core group meeting, you actually mentioned 2 specific companies you wanted to meet, and you were the only one there that did that.
Correct. And that was the beauty of the fact that we're getting the core groups
Yep,
together in different regions,
yep.
because this gentleman down there works for a company that I see their trucks all over this place. And it's like two pronged. That gentleman can also
Oh, yep.
sell BNI in addition to making that connection.
He was the guy
Like
from
the
Wilmington, right?
correct.
What was the name of the company?
Blaze Heating and Air.
Blaze Heating and Air, folks. And I had not, once Patrick and I talked about that afterwards, I recall hearing the company name. I do not recall seeing their trucks, but Patrick does, because that's what he's trained to do, is look for relationships like that. And as soon as he said something to the guy in the chat, the guy responded immediately, said, "Oh, yeah, let's talk." So again, you got to ask. We spend most of our day asking for things. Hey, do you know a good restaurant? Hey, do you know a good this, a good that? I need, my car's running bad, do you know a mechanic, things like that. Man, we get into BNI meetings and our elevator pitch time, and all of a sudden we want to brag for 45 seconds on what we do. No, 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 no. Ask for who you want to meet and then tell everybody how happy they were that they hired you and you gave them great service. Oh, I know you make notes, Patrick, as I do too sometimes in these meetings. So, um, all right. So,
Exactly.
so you and your wife, Nicole, have 2 kids. So you've answered the question before, but I'm going to ask you to answer it again. I always ask the married folks, how did you 2 meet? And do you both tell the story the same way?
Sorry, I'm getting over this cold. Let's see here. Yeah, I think we tell the exact same story the same way. We met be 18 years this September, and pretty much just she was having a house party because they were going to go to some kind of like beers around the world party in Charlotte. She lived around that area, and it got sold out or something like that. So they pivoted, and she had a townhouse, and all of her friends were there. All my friends, we had been playing golf and hanging out, watching, you know, SEC football. There were some good games. It was kind of around that time frame where all the dud games are kind of getting out of the way, that kind of thing. And my buddies were like, "Hey, I think we're gonna go to this party." And I'm like, "Man, I'm just kind of beat, kind of worn out. I think I might want to just take it easy." And they're like, "No, come on, man. Let's go.
Yeah.
We're how it is. The
Yep.
pack mentality." So I guess it's like divine intervention or serendipitous. But either way, I was like, "All right, I'll get up. Let's go." And we get there, and we're watching the Florida Auburn game, and it's neck and neck, and I think Auburn wins it at the last second with the walk off field goal. And we're all um, happy because during that time that was, I think, the Tebow years, and
Mm.
they were just Florida was
Oh, yeah.
the SEC team, and
Yep.
the team in with the whole country, and we were giving her a hard time, and from that point it kind of came to fruition, and started talking, and um from that point I'd mentioned that I knew, or one of my fraternity brothers went to school at high school where she went to school, and so it was just kind of networking right there, just throwing out folks that and it's kind of like, okay, you feel comfortable with someone who apparently one of my fraternity brothers, they grew up, knew each other very well, and so it's all about who you know, right?
Yeah, and I always love those moment in time decisions. I'm gonna pass today, and,
Yeah.
something happened. Would you, if you didn't go to the party that night, do you think you would have met Nicole
Oh, not because,
eventually?
well, definitely, no, probably 100% not, because the thing is, my friend that was telling us, "Hey, let's go," he was dating one of her friends, and they got into a big fight the next day and broke up. So I can tell with 100% certainty that it probably wouldn't happen.
Clearly, the best decision you ever made was to go to that party, right?
Oh yeah.
That's why I love those moment in time decisions, because if you did if you made the other decision, where are you today? How would things have changed in your life? I love those. Yeah, those are funny. So,
I usually joke and say face down in the gutter,
yep, there you go.
because she's the best thing that ever happened to me and my kids. And, it just yeah, it's uh
You'd
yeah,
be just
just
surviving right now, right?
just surviving. That's right.
Now with your middle name, and I think your daughter's middle name is Shay.
Mhm.
So is that, a lot? Is that in a number of generations in the Griffin family?
And apparently, my mom and dad were at a loss for a middle name, and I think my dad, threw it out there with one of his coworkers, and I think maybe a receptionist said, "I like the name Shay," and so it stuck,
Okay.
and uh, we get a lot of compliments. I do, my daughter does. It's just got a good
Yep.
flow, but I am not a Mets fan, so we'll go ahead and put that to bed.
That's my It's either Irish or the Mets. I didn't know which way to go, but you kinda answered that
Right.
for me, so
I'm definitely Irish and, amongst
yep.
other things.
Alright, so, who's more like you, the son or the daughter?
Depends. Depends on the situation.
Who talks
And,
like you, the son or the daughter?
probably my son.
Yeah, my youngest
Yeah.
one, we can carry on a conversation anywhere.
Well, like this morning, he ate a bowl of cereal and then immediately he's got one of those Nerf basketball goals, and I'm like, man, you're burning up all the calories that you just consumed from your bowl of cereal here. But he's over there like doing like these mock um play by play,
Yeah.
like 3 seconds left. Oh yeah, that's it. And I'm like, I used to be like that.
Mhm. Oh, yeah, we
So
all did.
it. Yeah, I mean, this morning was prime example.
Yep. No, I like that. So last time you were on the show, you were running for the Wake Forest Board of Commissioners. So
Yeah, had
you
to remind me.
No, 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 but no, this for good for the good of the people, for the good of humanity, I'm bringing this up, okay? So
Yeah.
you did not win the election, but what did you learn from that?
Oh, let's see here. List goes on and on. So really, I and this was like post COVID, and I guess um, the technology factor was still kind of fresh in everybody's mind, and I didn't knock on doors. I didn't go talk to folks. And I think if I would have like gone hard door to door knocking, having conversations, because the thing is, on election night, I know that I had, or election day, like all day long, I know I had 30 to 60 conversations with people where they were walking in, and I would just, I would get in position where I could. I was at a couple polling places
Mhm.
where it was Wake Forest and Rolesville, and so I would hear them say, "Hey, I'm here for Wake Forest," and I would know, okay, this is an eligible voter. They said I'm with Rolesville, then I would just be like, "Hey, thanks for coming out," because there's no point in trying to sell somebody that's not an eligible
Yeah.
voter in your district, because there's certain polling places where there's an overlap, and so we'd have Wake Forest residents, Rolesville residents, but whenever they would, be walking down the alleyway, about 30 to 50 feet or yards or however, I would, as loud as I am, big, like I said, big wave, that kind of thing. I like to have that big presence,
Yep.
and I'd be like, "Hey, folks, you here for Wake Forest?" And they'd be like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Do you know who you're voting for?" And it would be, yes, and be like, "Any chance I can change your mind?" And if it's no, then I'm like, "Well, thanks for coming out."
Mhm.
So it was really like the sales process of, you know, if they're not in the market, don't waste your time. So really, it was qualifying someone really quick, and if I could get them to like pull over
Mhm.
before going into the polling location, and I'd have just a quick conversation on what I was about, that kind of thing. And my big selling point was that I didn't raise any money. I spent $15, which was the bare minimum to get into the race. Um, Political science was my major, like we talked about, and it's a passion. It was a passion of mine, and I I I, I want to do it one day. And I think the fact that it didn't work out, I'm all right with that, because I have been able to be there all my kids' games, help coach, um, and there's one of the folks who won one of those. There were, how many was it? Two. There were
Choose
two eligible. So basically, it's one of these where you have five candidates, and the top two vote getters move on. They get elected. Well, one of the two that got elected, um, their kids are in the same sports, and I don't see that person that often at the same sporting events.
Mm,
And so I'm like, maybe this happened for a reason. The fact that you know, um, I'm here, I'm involved with my kids. This is something that I'm never going to get back, and I'm not at a board meeting, I'm not at a planning meeting until 1 in the morning, and I'm missing my kids grow up.
mm,
And I think it's kind of fortunate that it didn't happen because I would have regretted not seeing all the things that they've gone through and the moments and get a little emotional. But it happened for a reason, and I've learned that um, there's some things that I should have done on the forefront to gain more votes, and because I know other candidates did that, but I didn't seek the nomination of a party. I didn't seek any backing of any
mm.
real estate groups or apartment associations because there's groups, believe it or not, they lobby
Oh, yeah.
um, local officials. And my selling point was, hey, I'm here to offer true, pure representation um, for you, the people, not for an organization, not for a party. Party politics. I learned a lot about that, and I loved what my campaign was about, and that it was me and my wife and my kids and my extended family, leaning on and friends in the neighborhood, that kind of thing. And it's just like this is mine versus a letter in front of your name.
Yeah, yeah.
So
So you think maybe, one day you will run again?
I mean, I'm not going to say no, and I'm not going to say yes, but it definitely it comes across my mind from time to time.
Well,
So
and I like your analogy of qualifying a client
yeah,
out in front of the voting place. Yeah, the first question is, and my wife and I were asked that too when we would vote. Are you set on who you're voting for? I'm like, yep. And as soon as we said that, they're like, okay, thanks for coming out. Have a good day. Thanks for
I
voting.
mean, and I would try one quick rebuttal.
Yep,
Any chance I could convince you on, and
yep,
and there were a handful of people that they 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 said, yeah, I'll hear what you have to saying that they were at yes for their two, and then they went in and they came back and they're like, you know what, I voted for you.
there you
Now
go.
was it lip service?
Mm,
I don't know, but if they went out of their way to say that they did it, I'm going to take their word for it.
yeah, I hear you. And so
But it just made me realize at that moment, and it's like, well, polls are closing in 30 minutes, but that should have been it should have been a big part of the game plan,
yeah,
knocking on doors.
there you go. All
Yeah.
right. But you will apply that if you do decide to run again. I know you will apply that just
Oh
like
yeah.
you do in your sales life of, all right, well, that worked, or don't do that again, or do it in a different order sometimes, right?
Right. Well, and also I didn't do anything until the date where you could apply and register. And that's one cool thing that I took away. In our country, we always talk about go vote. It's your right. There's been so many people who fought for it. Declaring independence against the British. I mean, and the fact that we have that right to vote. Well, also, the fact that we have this open platform where anybody can go and say, "I want to run for office."
Yep.
You know, and from that point, I said to myself, I will never write off a third party candidate or anybody who like a Ross Perot and what he did, or Ralph Nader, or anyone like that. I'll never write off and say, well, why are they doing that? They're just costing some. They have the right
Yep.
to be there, and it's also another part of democracy is that yeah, we have the right to vote, but we also have the right
Mm.
to put our name in the hat and step up and serve.
Yep. Very cool. I like that. All right, folks, we've been putting Patrick's phone number up here. So, two reasons you're going to call him. One is you're going to keep his number. So, when you do have a flood or a fire at your house, or if we do have another snowstorm and ice comes, and all of a sudden that busts one of your pipes. You're going to want this phone number because it's going to save you time, because you're going to call Patrick and he's going to talk you through, should I call my insurance person and put in a claim yet? So what professionals like Patrick will work with you to make it best for you. So keep that number. We put it up here. And the second thing is, if you're a somebody in charge of your own book of business, just call him and ask him 3 questions on whatever they are. He'll talk with you. He'll help you. But you need to go somebody that's built a book of business like Patrick has. So, anyways, Patrick, always good having you on the show. Your nuggets for the amount of real estate you cover, both literally and figuratively, to keep 1-800 water damage top of mind is very impressive. I've told you that, and I've told groups you visited that they need to do a one-to-one with you. So always glad having you on the show to share those nuggets with us.
Absolutely. And Carry Core Professionals, Thursdays 9 to 10:30. Love to have y'all. Give me a call if you're interested in visiting. Be more than happy to get you all that information.
There you go. All right. Thank you, Patrick. And we will see everybody next time on Capital to the Coast BNI.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by StreamingGear.com and DeltaForce.net.